Picture this. You're a king. You've built a beautiful city, walls of stone, gardens for your children, markets full of spices and silver. Your people are safe. Your gods are pleased. Then, one morning, you wake to a sound on the horizon. Drums. Thousands of them. By nightfall, your city is ash. Your people are dead. Or worse. And the empire that did this, they left a stone carving bragging about it. Welcome to the Assyrian Empire. The most powerful, most feared, and somehow most forgotten superpower of the ancient world. Today, we're fixing that. Let's rewind all the way back. It's roughly 2500 BCE. The land we now call Iraq, then called Mesopotamia, is the beating heart of human civilization. The Sumerians invented writing here. The Babylonians wrote law here. And up in the north, in a region called Assyria, a small city-state is quietly beginning its ascent. For hundreds of years, the Assyrians were just traders, merchants. They set up colonies across Anatolia, modern Turkey, buying and selling tin and textiles. Honestly, pretty boring. But then something shifted. Around 900 BCE, the Assyrians decided trading wasn't enough. They wanted everything, and they had the army to take it. Here's what nobody tells you about ancient warfare. Most of it was pathetically ineffective. Small armies, primitive weapons, limited tactics. The Assyrians changed everything. They built the world's first professional standing army. Not farmers who grabbed spears when called. Full-time, paid, trained year-round, and equipped with innovations that were centuries ahead of their enemies. Iron weapons, siege towers, cavalry archers, a military intelligence network. Let's talk about sieges, because this is where the Assyrians got genuinely diabolical. When a city refused to surrender, the Assyrians didn't just wait them out. They built massive earthen ramps up to the walls. They wheeled in siege towers, wooden monsters on wheels, 6 stories tall, and rained arrows from above, while battering rams broke through the gates below. If a city surrendered, they were absorbed into the empire, taxed, but alive. If a city resisted, the king himself would describe what happened next, and he was proud of it. Let's meet the men running this empire, because the Assyrian kings didn't just conquer, they curated their brutality, and then had it carved into stone walls so it would last forever. Ashur-Nisir-Pal II, who ruled from 883 to 859 BCE, set the tone. After defeating a rebellion, he wrote, "Many captives I burned with fire. Many I took alive. From some I cut off their hands to the wrist. From others I cut off their noses, ears, and fingers." He wasn't confessing. He was boasting. This was propaganda, carved into palace walls for visiting dignitaries to read. The message was clear. Don't rebel. Then came Sennacherib. You might know his name from the Bible. He's the Assyrian king who laid siege to Jerusalem around 701 BCE. The Book of Kings describes 185,000 of his soldiers dying overnight, killed by an angel. Sennacherib's own records say he made the city's king a prisoner in Jerusalem, his royal residence, like a bird in a cage. He's also the king who destroyed Babylon, then the most sacred city in the world, and flooded it into rubble. He wrote about it like he was taking out the trash. But the most powerful of all? Ashurbanipal. He was different, educated, cultured, obsessive about knowledge. He built the world's first great library, the Library of Nineveh, collecting over 30,000 clay tablets. He could read multiple languages. He wrote poetry. He also skinned enemies alive and made drinking cups from their skulls.
At its peak, the Assyrian Empire stretched from Egypt to Iran. From the Mediterranean to the Persian Gulf, they conquered everyone. The Babylonians, the Egyptians, the Israelites, the Elamites, the Phoenicians. They were untouchable. They had been untouchable for 300 years. And then, in the span of about 20 years, they were gone.
Here's what happened. The empire had grown so large, it was impossible to hold. Conquered peoples seethed with resentment. Subject kings plotted in secret. And after Ashurbanipal died around 627 BCE, his sons immediately started fighting each other for the throne. Civil war. Two powers saw their chance, the Babylonians and the Medes. They formed an alliance, ancient enemies uniting against a common nemesis. In 612 BCE, they descended on Nineveh, the Assyrian capital, the greatest city in the world. The city that had terrified kingdoms for centuries fell in a matter of months. When it burned, the library of Nineveh burned with it. 30,000 clay tablets, the accumulated knowledge of an age, buried under ash and rubble for 2,500 years. The prophet Nahum had written, "Woe to the city of blood, full of lies, full of plunder, never without victims." When Nineveh fell, virtually no one mourned.
So, why don't we talk about the Assyrians the way we talk about Rome or Greece or Egypt? Part of it is survival bias. The Greeks wrote about themselves. The Romans built things that lasted. The Egyptians built in stone in the middle of a desert. The Assyrians built in mud brick in a river valley that floods. Their cities were buried. Their records, clay tablets, were hidden under rubble. It wasn't until 1849, when a British archaeologist named Austen Henry Layard started digging at a mound called Kuyunjik in modern Iraq, that the world slowly began to realize what was under there. The Assyrians were monsters. They were also architects, scholars, engineers, and artists. They built libraries while they burned cities. They wrote poetry while they carved atrocities into stone. They were, in other words, human. Not the cartoonish villains of the Bible, not simple savages. A civilization of staggering complexity, shaped by a brutal world who shaped that world in return, through iron and fear and, yes, an obsessive love of knowledge. The next time you read about the Persian Empire, or Alexander the Great, or the Romans, remember that they were all building on a foundation laid in blood and mud in northern Iraq, by a people most of us have never thought twice about. If you think more people should know about the Assyrians, share this video. Leave a comment with the ancient civilization you want me to cover next. I'll see you in the next one.